entrepreneur was widely used. When you were growing up, you wanted to do things on your own, do business. And one of the things you did at Harvard, for example, there was a travel guide there. Tell us about how you went in a Harvard basement and made what for a college kid was real money.
Sure, so I went to work for Let's Go travel guides that were produced by Harvard students. And I was an advertising salesperson. And they had designed the commission structure for less motivated people. And I made about $14,000 working for the summer, but they did everything they could to stop me from selling more ads because they were afraid I was making more money than the professional who was running it. So it was an interesting life experience. And then I didn't know that kids had to pay taxes. So I took the $14,000 and I bought like the world's most incredible stereo, and then the tax bill came, so.
You in favor of a flat tax? Say yes.
For you, yes. Probably not, but I'm in favor of meaningful changes in the way taxes are administered, for sure.
So after college, making that good money before the IRS came, you went into, you got involved a little bit learning about finance and real estate?
Yes, worked for actually my dad for a little under 2 years. He was in the business of arranging financing for real estate developers, investors, and pretty quickly I figured out I wanted to be the investor as opposed to the arranger.
You wanted to be independent, so you wanted to go out on your own. How in the world does a kid raise money? How much did you raise and how did you do it?
So I had a partner, a classmate from business school, and it's a bit like blind dating. You know, you can't be afraid of rejection. But you ask enough, and we had a good story to tell. At least I thought of it that way. And we went to people who had we basically went through the Forbes 400 list, and I cold called, and I got meetings, and the Forbes 400 is comprised of a lot of entrepreneurs who like the idea of a couple of young guys starting something, and they want to be part of it, and that's how we raised the money. And we asked them for, $500,000, and I think they liked the psychological benefits of being an early investor.
And one of the things you did was Rockefeller.
Yeah, so
tell us
our most significant
that and how you got a valuation from a firm.
Okay, so
that was Tim Horton, but first Rockefeller.
Okay, so Rockefeller Center was there was a public company that owned a $1.3 billion mortgage in Rockefeller Center. It was a time where the Japanese were walking away from U.S. real estate. The mortgage was going to go into default, and it created an opportunity to create an interest in Rockefeller Center for really pennies on the dollar. And we bought a stake, and again, I went to not to promote Forbes too much, but I literally called every billionaire on the list to see if we could find a partner to buy control of this mortgage, which would have given us control of Rockefeller Center. And I met David Rockefeller, and I met Jerry Speyer. I met a guy named Joe Steinberg, and it ended up becoming very important to me. So it was a great start to my career.
And the valuation, was that Tim Horton?
Yes. So
by the way, Tim Horton makes the best pod coffee. Just for the record.
Okay, that's good to hear, because we're still indirectly a shareholder. So basically, the first activist investment in Pershing Square was Wendys. Actually, it was an article in Barron's saying how cheap Wendys stock was, and it owned a company called Tim Hortons. And at the time, we bought 10% of Wendys for a valuation of about $4.5 billion for the whole company. And they owned 100% of Tim Hortons that generated about $450 million of operating income. We thought Tim Hortons was worth a lot more than all of Wendys. And our thesis was split the two. And so we bought a stake, we called the management, they didn't take our call. Sent an email, they didn't respond. So I had a friend who worked at Blackstone, and I said, would Blackstone do a fairness opinion, in effect, of what Wendys would be worth if they spun off Tim Hortons?
How did you get Blackstone to take you seriously?
Just a friend who worked there, that, wanted to do business. Blackstone had an investment bank at the time. And Steve Schwartzman actually signed off on the fairness opinion for Wendys spinning off Tim Hortons. And we mailed it in, filed it in a 13D, and 6 weeks later, they split the company, stock doubled. And that was the beginning of our activist